You want to stand out. You want to be great. You are significant. Welcome back to Candid Conversations with Charisa. I know it's been a minute, but we are back, and this season 6 is about to be lit. It's about to be hot, and it's about to be all about you, you, you. Why? I'm interested in watching the legacy that you want to build and that you want to leave, because you want to be transformed and you want to transform lives. So this season is going to be all about you, your self-development, your self-growth, and your self-leadership. Why? Because you get to change the world. You get to fulfill a purpose. And guess what? Here at Candid Conversations, I get to help you leave a mark in this world. Change, change, change. I think this is going to be a discussion that we are going to be talking about for a lifetime. Because when it's not what we just experienced a few years ago with COVID, when it's not a great recession, when it's not just the way the world is going, there will always be some type of change. So it was a great question when someone says, however, how do I make change happen in my life? And a few years ago, we dealt with change that was beyond our control. Something happened and we had no idea it was going to happen. We weren't forewarned. However, we were all affected in some way, shape, or form. The entire universe was affected by what happened. But there are going to be some changes that happen in our life that we have full control over. Maybe your decisions are causing a certain change. Maybe your habits are causing a certain change, and not all change is good and not all change is bad. Actually, change is going to either be one or the other, depending on where you are in life, depending on your season, or depending on your response and how it affects you. So when I think about how do I make change happen in my life, let's talk about how change can be affected or how you can respond to change. Because your response to change is going to really determine the trajectory of your life going forward. And sometimes people can decide to let change affect them a certain way, or they can decide that they are going to not let change control them, but they will control the response that they give to the change that has occurred. One of the things that my dad, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, said is there are so many responses that we can have to change. One of those responses is we can decide to totally reject change. Another, we can decide to accept change. We can decide to resist change. We can decide to just make the adjustment, the pivot to change. We can decide to manage change, or we can choose to be a victim of change. One of the worst responses you can give. We can even prepare and plan for change. Then there is the ultimate best response we can ever have. We can be the initiator of change. And this asks and bears to the question, how can I make change happen? How can I initiate change in my life? So glad we're having that discussion, because I've had to initiate change in my life for the last couple of years. So I'm going to be talking from experience on how I've allowed myself to control and make change happen in my life. First, I take a moment to evaluate and assess where I am now. Sometimes we want to look so far in the future. We just want to focus on looking forward, that we never look to the back or to the side to make sure that, first of all, it is clear enough for me to make the moves that I'm going to have to make in order to get to really where I want to go. And we don't take the moment to say, okay, where am I right now? What is the assessment and the evaluation I have of where I am now? Because sometimes where you are now is going to determine how far you can go. Sometimes where you are now is going to determine how you can get there. But you have to know where you are. Evaluate where you are right now and get a good assessment of where you are right now, so that when you get where you want to go, you're able to say that was a up level move, or that was a good change that I did. But you won't know whether your change from one point to the next or one moment to the moment is good or bad if you don't even know where you came from. Consider the change you want to create in your life. Consider what it is you want to initiate. Think about it right now. Then take an assessment of where you are right now. So let's really give a practical example. So let's say you want to lose a certain amount of weight, or you want to gain a certain amount of weight in the next 12 months. Okay, so let's measure and assess where you are now. What is your weight in pounds on the scale where you are now? What size clothing are you wearing where you are now? So go on the scale, get a numbered measurement. Good. Get a tape, take a measure of your inches, your waist, your hip, your neck, your arms, your thighs. Get those numbers, write those down. And then take your clothes, put your clothes on. How are they fitting? How does a pair of jeans fit? How does a shirt fit? How does a dress fit? Get that now. Even if it can't fit, get that look and that picture in your mind now. Assess all about your weight now, because you're about to start to initiate a change in your life to either lose weight or gain weight. So now that you have those evaluations and assessment, now you can work on number 2. You can design where you want to be. So once you have designed where you want to be, mean that you want to go from where you are now, you want to go from 200 pounds to 225 if you are gaining weight. You want to go from 200 pounds to 190 if you're trying to lose weight. So you're designing what 190 pounds looks like. That's where you're trying to go. You're designing how many dress sizes you want to go down. You're designing how big or how small or how large you want your arms and your legs and your waist to be. Do you want an hourglass? Do you want a pear glass? Do you want to have wide shoulders and small waist? Or do you want the shoulders to be like, you want to completely design the future that you're looking for, the change that you want. So you want to make sure that you have a designed sketch, if you will, in your mind of what it is you want to produce, meaning you are designing the complete outcome that you want, at least a picture of it. You are designing already in your mind, you're envisioning what it is that you want to achieve and the result that you want, especially when you have already assessed. Because once you assess and you evaluate where you are, guess what you get to do? You get to decide, you know what, I'm okay with this. This is good, I like it. Or you get to say, no, I know where I am. I see these numbers. This is not where I want to be. Let's figure out how we get to the design that I'm about to create. And you completely create the blueprint that you want for your future. Then once you have assessed, evaluate, and design or redesign the future you want and the result that you want and the outcome that you want, then you get to pave the path by preparing and planning. Got all those P's? You can pave the path by preparing and planning to get you to the design and the result that you want. That is how you get to initiate and make change happen in your life. All of those things you have full control over. All of those things are in your reach and in your power to do. You have full responsibility. You can hold yourself accountable. Somebody else can hold you accountable, and they can hold you accountable because they know your assessment of where you are now, and you have shared with them where you're trying to go, what that picture looks like. And so they get to, along the way, as you build your path and pave your path, they can help with your planning. they can help with your preparation. But you can only plan and prepare when you know that where you want to go is going to be a completely different change and place from where you are now. And the only way that you can know where you are now is to take a moment and pause. So once you're able to plan and prepare, and those things are very different because planning comes before preparation. And planning can look like, now that you have the blueprint, you can go ahead and get the ingredients that you need. You get the ingredients that you need to build the recipe for the blueprint that you have. And then you get to prepare and put together the recipe or the ingredients that you have just planned for. But the two go hand in hand. And as you do that, then you get to literally create a path. You are paving your own path to this change that you want. It is a change that you want. It is a change that you desire. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be some change that happen in your life that you have no control over that happens. You won't be able to decide. You won't be able to catch it before it happens. You won't even know it's going to happen. 2014 created a ripple effect of changes in my life that I had absolutely no control over. No one ever forewarned me that I would lose both of my parents by a plane crash. Absolutely no one. It was sudden, unexpected. It was involuntary change. The transition was crazy. What? Had no idea. But my response to that change and everything since then for the last 7 to 8 years have been changes that I've decided that, you know what, I am now going to initiate these changes. I am going to have to respond to an involuntary change that occurred, but going forward, I'm going to initiate the change that happens. I'm going to put some planning and preparation in place so when future changes happen, it doesn't catch me off guard. And then I know what I want my life to look like now. I know where I want to get to now. So I've designed that, and I've designed that based on where I am. Where I am, I want more. I remember a few years ago, I was really feeling stuck. And I was feeling like I need more, I want more. There has to be so much more that I'm supposed to be doing. And I had gotten to a place where with all of the tools and the skills and the knowledge and the understanding I had already met the plateau. But I know that I can go higher. I, however, recognize that where I was as high as I was going to go and as high as I was going to get with all that I had. So I said, however, I want more. I know I'm created for more. I want to go higher. I need to go higher. There are people sitting at the higher space and in the higher level that needs me. So then I said, how do I get there? I need different skills, different tools, different understanding, different knowledge, different wisdom. So I said, okay, that's a change that I have to create. I've assessed where I am now. I know where I am. Let's figure out what that looks like. Let's design where I want to be. I want my business to grow. I want to make more money. I want to be a greater speaker. I want to be able to reach more people than I have in the last years before that. So now that I know where I want to be happy, I want to be free, I want to be able to travel, I want to prepare myself for a family. How do I get there? So then you know what I did? I said, okay, now that I have the design, now that I know where I am, now let me start to find out what I need to put in place in order to prepare for that. So I started planning, got myself a coach, made sure that I had enough time in the day, started working out and preparing my physical body to prepare for what I know I'm about to start doing. I had a conversation with my husband to make sure that we would be on the same page. I made sure there were other things in my life that would align to this particular outcome that I wanted. And then I started preparing. And then I started preparing. And then I started preparing, starting putting all of those ingredients, mixing those, putting those in the same bowl, making sure they're aligned. And then I started acting. I acted. And from then to now, change has happened. And it has been change that I initiated. And there were times when I didn't know. I didn't know what would happen. But that was okay. The part of the planning and the preparation was me working on my relationship with what I didn't know. I worked on my relationship with the unknown. Nonetheless, I planned and prepared for it because it was change that I initiated, change that I made happen. So as I encourage you, and I hope that you understand that yes, there are times when you're going to resist, you're going to reject, you're going to deny, you're going to even accept, you're going to allow change to happen to you. But the best response that you can have to change is actually making it happen. So let's go over those 3 ways on how you can make change happen. 1, evaluate and assess where you are now. Always take inventory. Always take stock of where you are. Give it a number. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you are at your greatest, you are at your highest, you are at your best, 1 being you are at your worst. Where do you fall? How would you rate where you are now in your weight? How would you rate where you are now in your finances? How would you rate where you are now in your business? How would you rate where you are now in your spirituality? How would you rate your relationships? Rate everything in your life. Give it a number. My relationships, they're not where I want them to be at a 9. Right now, they're at a 5. Okay, if you're not okay with that, what are you going to do? What do you want, first of all? You want your relationships to be thriving? Boom, design that. Once you've designed that, then step back and say, okay, to get this, to get from a 5 to even a 6, you don't have to get to a 10. You just want to be able to move in the right direction. You want to go from a 5 to a 6 in your relationships. Why? Because you want the design of your relationship to be thriving and to be effective and to be benefiting you and everybody else around you. Then good. Then start to prepare. Start to plan for that. Make room. Set boundaries. Say no. Manage your time. Manage your resources. And then start to put those things into action. And you will be surprised how over time your relationships start to shift and they start to change in the direction you want them to because you are putting in the work. And especially when it comes to relationships, sometimes our relationships can be where they are because we are growing or because we need to adjust and change personally before we start to put in the work in the relationship itself. Once you've assessed and evaluate, design the outcome you want. And then once you have that complete design, that picture, that vision, that blueprint already out in your mind, or you have it written down, or you actually draw it and put it on the wall, aka vision board, then you get to pave the path of where you want to go by preparation and planning. So I hope this has helped you. This is what I've put in place to help me. Where I was 7 years ago is not where I am now. Where I was 3 years ago is not where I am now because I've done this. I've intentionally done this so I could initiate the change that I want, so I could continue to create the life that I want and the life that God has for me. Ultimately, I want the life that God has for me. And it's going to be one where I completely live out my purpose 100%. And I want that for you. So this is another episode where I hope that you've been encouraged. I hope you've been inspired. I hope you've been motivated to put in the work and the action to transform your life for the better. Until next time, see you soon. Are you ready? After just listening to that, are you ready? I know you're ready. So if you want to now get up and go and start acting and putting forth what it is that you want the world to know and that you want to serve, now is the time and you are well equipped. Make sure you like, make sure you share, and make sure you comment below. I enjoy reading your comments. Go ahead and make your mark in the world because you are great.